Hello, my name is Jacob Friedman. This is an interview about books and music Wormhole for the Gainesville Business History Oral History Project run by the Inquire Capitalism program of the History Department at the University of Florida. Understand that for us and for the public, the information you're providing is a gift, as it is an incredible historical resource and we dearly appreciate it. This interview will be a part of the UF Oral History Collections and the UF Digital Collections, and it will also be posted on YouTube. Could you please introduce yourself? What is your full name, and could you please spell it?
Yes. Hello, Jacob. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Philip, last name Wyrm, Philip, 1L, Wyrm.
To get us started, can you give us some background and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So, supposedly as context, last night, all day yesterday, early in the morning, I woke up in North Carolina at 6 a.m. and I did a I did a run to a waterfall, and then I proceeded to drive a truck for a farm until really, really early this morning. So it'll be fun as a practice in lack of sleep and storytelling, just as a context for. I grew up in Florida, the Ocala area as a youth, and then really when I was a kid, it was a place called Narcoossee. When you looked up Narcoossee on the internet, it just showed a page for Florida ghost towns, but now and it was all cow fields, but now it's become or slowly progressing into pure strip mall, zone in between zones of Orlando and Kissimmee and all that. And then, so that's my Central Florida. Grew up. I've traveled around a lot. Lived in a few other places.
And what led you to Gainesville and books and music?
So, I guess it's vaguely. I love knowledge, and so to some degree, books and music Wormhole is, in a sense, propaganda or something. It's I guess we all are, but maybe it's just something I'm hyper aware of. Just being on the precipice of the end, the end of a culture, the end of something, the end of this, the end of that. We're all like in Narcoossee, it was the end of cow fields, and that was like the slow transitioning to being no more. And I feel like that's sort of like all of my life, and so and all of everyone's life, because everything's constantly changing and ending, and so I feel books are important. And I do see the culture of reading leaving or just being diminished in our society. And so this retail experiment, or I would say it is pure propaganda, but it's masquerading as a business. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but somehow, I don't know if it's by the blessings of the universe, I always make just enough money to scrape by and pay the bills and just everything. But I make it's all like I just exist, and it's great. I'm so grateful for it. But yeah.
Yeah, speaking on that, is that something you see yourself doing for like a while, or is just like going by the moment, just what's working right now?
I love books. I guess long term, ideally, I would love to get a place in Gainesville. And buy a place, because I feel like that's what sort of has to happen. And I do want to do books, keep doing books. I love books. I love, I don't know in what context, because I don't know if I'll be able to economically, because, it seems like books are a fickle thing. And so, but I really need to be able to buy a space in order to really, be a part of a community. And so I bought some land a while ago down in the Ocala area. It was like my initial it was like my impetus for returning to Florida after living in Louisiana for a good 10 years or so. And so I wanted to express my Florida roots. And as I was saying, as change happens and I go around the world, it sort of feels like I'm this, or we all are to some degree, this this wave of gentrification that's going on everywhere. And so I experienced it when I lived on the West Coast. I definitely experienced it in the 10 years of New Orleans. And it's just the thing that, you're able to live in a space and then you're no longer able to economically afford it. And so I feel like it's this constant economic battle for finding a good place just to, just to exist and do something cool, like sell books and encourage reading and, encourage knowledge and inquiry. And so, I would love to get a space. I don't know if it's going to be retail. I don't know if it's going to be more like maybe going to like some sort of nonprofit or publishing that also has a small retail store, or go bigger in retail. I really don't know, just because the economy is crazy, and I do exist by month to month. Knock on wood, 4 years going, every year the end of the month comes around and somehow the money appears and I make it, just selling books. Mm-hmm. Like lately I've been driving food for an organic farm, so that's why I go up to North Carolina, and then always gotta hustle to make money in this economy. Mm-hmm. So.
Can you talk a little bit about the run up to and the actual opening of the store? How was that was like?
Sure. So I had a practice or storage space behind the space so part of my project is I'm doing a library space for philosophy to some degree. Ontology, religion, interpretation, and so I amassed books for that project as well. And so the bookstore sort of started as a warehouse, practice space, music space that I was also hoarding. I probably had 4,000 books, because that's I love books, I'm insane. And so I buy good books. That's my philosophy. If I see a good book, I buy it. Because it's sort of trying to save books, or save good books. I'm always looking around for books and, selecting or measuring. And so I was doing that in the practice space. And then I was pretty much just living out at my land, and then which was just gardening. And then so I lived at my car in my land. I would go to the gym every day because there was a sauna, and that was great. So it was gardening every day, sauna, and then occasionally selling books. And so I really view that time as this idyllic time. And then I had a crazy idea of why don't I just start a retail store? And now I'm it's ball and chain, you're there, because it doesn't afford to necessarily, my ideal ownership would be something of owner operator, so everyone who works there, is an owner as well.
Like a cooperative?
Yeah, totally cooperative. And so, but it doesn't, it barely even pays for itself, and then just gives me enough food. I live on nothing. So it couldn't, as it is now, it couldn't afford someone else. And I feel like that's sort of true a lot of bookstores. This was before the pandemic. The pandemic was really good for selling books. That's because everyone was online reading. It was the time where everyone was just reading, and so books were sort of hyperinflated. and now they've just dropped ridiculously since then. But so yeah, I lost my train of thought.
When was it when you decided to make the decision to turn the warehousing into a bookstore?
Oh, totally. So there was a dude. His name was Riley. He ran a salon there, and Riley. We ran into me and my friend Luis, who also had his music practice space. We're old musicians. We've known each other for a long time. And he sells records. And so we heard from this dude, Riley, and that he was quitting his store because he's making no money, or quitting the salon. And then me and Luis were like, hey, why don't we all split it? And then, so there's a licensed salon up above the record store. And then it was started by myself, Riley, and Luis. And Riley and Luis left after about 6 months, and now I'm working with a group of like 3 awesome people that do salon upstairs. And so, but yeah, it's just all me in the bookstore for the past, I guess, 3.5 years. So that's the origin story.
Just for clarification, like the date, like when you first opened the store.
It was around June 2021, I think. That's 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, June 2021.
And you spoke a little bit about like buying books only that you thought were good. Can you like go a little bit more into like the process of how you like manage and expand your collection?
I mean, good is always an evolving thing that's personal to everyone, and so I claim no sense of like the subjective good. I just claim a sense of I love knowledge. If something's good, like especially if something's detailed on some arcane subject, or if it expresses the human condition, this thing that we all exist, and we forget that we exist as like humans because we're all in these or more often than not, people aren't really, we're in suburbs, or we're in isolated things, But I have its tendency to ramble, and since I really only had 3.5, I think, hours of sleep, I'm getting, when I come to this like phrase where it's like da 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 da. Oh, I forgot where I was going.
No worries.
So,
but yeah, just like the process of like
process.
managing and expanding your collection. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, just always trade a lot. I buy. People come in. I'll trade anything, like even if I won't use it for the store, like if someone, I'll just trade stuff just to get stuff in so that people can read new stuff, and then I'll donate outwards. I never destroy books. I'm always buying, going to sales, going to estate sales, like driving on this job, I schedule stops. Like I'm obsessed with books. I'm obsessed with knowledge. Like, I love it.
Has like turning your warehousing project into more of a store, has that changed your relationship with literature at all, or like giving you some sort of new view on it?
Yeah. It's provided me a place where I'm constantly around what I love, and I've gone into so many different like new areas that I'd never learned about. Like probably around 3 years ago, I got really deep into all of Plato's dialogues, and that was just something that I got. Like I had read The Republic before, but it was I interpreted it as a political text. But when I really when I really got like into the dialogues and sort of just, it was a change, just always exploring stuff, always changing stuff, always learning new things. The process of learning is this process of, you think you don't know something, then you know something, and then you don't know more stuff. And so it's like pure, endless more stuff of unknowing,
Mm-hmm. And What is it like, your relationship like? Oh, what's your customer base? What's your relationship with that? And do you see students coming in a lot, that sort of thing?
Students, locals, I really feel like, yeah, there's just a wingnut community of readers, and then there's just, because I'm around a few other shops, and then next to Satchel's, there's tourists that just, walk in, and so, but yeah, there's regulars of all ages, students. The students are, you see them, you sort of see them leave, like it's a part of college, and so that's an interesting aspect, just seeing people, just seeing this ever-evolving sort of student population that is not the same. It's real interesting.
Mm-hmm. And how do you see the relationship between the store and like social media, like your Instagram presence?
So ideally, I'm a part of it, but ideally, this is sort of the propaganda aspect. There's nothing. All forms of media are a different form of consciousness to some degree. What it allows for, and I'm not saying what's good or what's better, but there's different types of consciousness under different types of media systems, and so books. I'm total propagandist for books. Smash all social medias.
Well, yeah, I'm more so like thinking of like how in the store and like how you use it for promoting.
Yeah,
the store.
I use it. You got it. It's advertising. I use it just for talking about events we do. We do like poetry events every now and then, small musical happenings. We do like a collage night. I post some books I think are cool, but mostly I just post. I love old sci-fi covers, and so I just post a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. And can you speak a little bit more about the events the store does?
Say the word again.
The events the store does?
Yeah, so we do like a poetry happenings. We've had like author readings, weirder music stuff, like synthesizer groups, sort of free noisier stuff. But then again, we also have like the occasional singer-songwriter. But yeah, I'm always trying to do events. I think, you got to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's important to just do stuff in life.
How would you say that you describe it as a project a lot when referring to your store? So I just want to get your word on how do you think your store fits into, if not like puts a spin on bookstores as an industry?
I mean, so I've even though I am a bookstore on the outside, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I said, I just love, I love trying to do. I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't know anything. People give suggestions. I'm like, all right, that's cool. But, and I don't, like, I love, so I guess I'm not into, like, I need to make money. Like, we exist. I work myself to the bone making money because I need to do it. But ideally, I'm working towards trying to put myself into a condition of, getting myself as far away from these, expensive systems that are obscene, like the system of rent and how expensive it is. It's just like, I don't want to live in a city that's like where all you got to do is just work. And so I'm not like trying to make money. I'm just trying to be a propagandist. I'm trying to encourage reading. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm just trying to. I make art. That's what I do. I make puppets. I play music. I've played saxophone for years. That's all I did when I lived in New Orleans. And I didn't know what I was doing for 10 years. All I could do was wake up and play saxophone and then stay up until the sunrise. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to, follow whatever it is that feels ethical, or that feels right in this world of expressing yourself and then trying to teach others. Just like so much of this world is lifeless and terrible. And so I don't think I want to be a business. I think about it often. I think about, do I want to be a nonprofit? And to me, I would ideally love to be a nonprofit, but nonprofits seem to just be this dirty way of funneling money for corporations or something, so they look good. And do I want to be a business? I'm not a capitalist. You got to be a capitalist to survive in capitalism. You got to think of new ways and new this. I don't have a database for books. I write prices on a little slip of paper and put it in them. My database is in my head. I have a fairly good memory of what I have in the store. But I feel like most of what drives my life is this stubborn donkey. I'm a dumb mule when it comes to ethics. I dropped out of college because I didn't feel good about it. I decided to, just not, even though you are, but participating in the ruins, or participating in the waste of capitalism for years, where in New Orleans, all I did, I was clothed from a clothing dumpster. I ate food from a food dumpster, and I lived in a rotted house, and the city took care of me. I worked at a bike shop off and on, but that was just because I was at that time I was an alcoholic, and you need money for drinking. All I did was drink and play music, and was in a bunch of bands, but. Yeah, I don't know what guides me in life. There is one thing I was thinking about recently that I thought it would be cool to share for history. Mm-hmm. When I was a young kid, probably around the age of 19, up in Tallahassee, when I was attempting to go to college, instead, what I sort of chose to do was participate. It was called Crank It Up. It was a bike project, and it was in this place called Railroad Square, which was this enclave with a fence around it and all these warehouses. And it was in a zone of warehouses. There was nothing around, except for this one dirty 24-hour coffee shop that was sort of nearby. And so this Cranked It Up, it was all these kids that lived in a warehouse that were my age, and they loved bikes. And it was this thing that you only hear of and myth and rumor. Mm-hmm. And it actually existed. And so I was yeah, I want to be a part of that. And so I did. And that really influenced my life in the sense of, you just do stuff because it's good. You ride bikes because they're beneficial for yourself, beneficial for the community. And it was it's a technology that was perfected, over 100 years ago, and it's still such an amazing way to travel. Mm-hmm. But that's something I guess I've lamented lately, because I recently went up to Tallahassee, and Railroad Square is technically still there, but the building where Crank It Up got torn down, or it got blown away in the some weather event. Mm-hmm. And then the college has taken over everything. It's all student housing everywhere. I was looking for a road that my friend's house used to be on, and the road wasn't there. And it was just this overwhelming feeling of oh my God, like this is like just this endless student housing and this place that I grew and became something that like meant so much to me that, you know, showed me you can, if you just do something because you think it's beneficial for yourself and for the community, you can do it. And I feel like that's where my ethics came from, but it doesn't exist anymore. Like, and I feel so sad for the young, you know, the young 18, 17-year-olds that don't have that example. Like, we don't have, that doesn't exist in Tallahassee. There have been many similar projects in Gainesville. Like, just this sort of sense of, you know, all these, not outcasts, but just like these people who are just looking for connection and looking to do stuff. Like, I know that exists, but I don't know if it exists anymore at this like do-it-yourself cheap level that, you know, because how can it exist amongst all these, you know, endless new college housing and skyscrapers that are going up everywhere? Because back then it was this no man's land. It was like, no one wants this land. And now it's like this land is economically unsupportable to anyone else, you know, who doesn't fit this certain form. And so I feel like that's something that drives me. Like how I said, I'm a propagandist. Like I want to some degree, just be like, you know, hey, 18-year-old kid, yeah, do it. And so if I want to move more in that direction, you know, and I don't know how. Like I've thought to some degree of like a monastic farming community based off of Plato, you know, because then I could, you know, that would be beautiful. You know, there's Agrarian, which I believe I politically identify with, and then, you know, just be an influence of, hey, you can just do this, and, you know, so, but I don't know how to best affect it. I've also thought of doing a bike shop, a nonprofit bike group, but that's what drives me, and it drives me crazy because I don't know what to do, and I'm always trying, because yeah, I lament the fact, you know, that this, you know, this world, but I think it's normal.
Yeah, it sounds like to me that what you found there in Tallahassee was some shred of like community, something to be a part of, and it sounds like to me when you're lamenting like the loss of that over time as these organizations and communities disappear, is that it feels to me like that's something, although doesn't feel like you've said it outright, that's something you're trying to do with your store, at least providing these events, so which give an opportunity for people to congregate and share an experience. It seems like to me that you want to inject some more of that communal life through the store.
I feel like that's just sort of, to some degree, a way I've chosen to live my life, and so it just happens. Like I don't really direct it, but it's like, oh, I found this thing that I think is good, and so it's like a ball of clay that you keep touching for so long, and so it's got all these indentations on it, and so you're moving it over your hand, and you know all these indentations. You know, and so your sense of good is like you keep touching it, but it's you still feel it or something, and so it informs you.
So back to this store for a second. Can you just describe like the timeline since you opened the store to now? Like maybe if any key events or anything. How's the store changed over time?
So I started it with those two other people, and there have been other people who have come and gone, who do the hair and work in the salon upstairs, and it's also a tattoo parlor. So tattoo artists, salon, I mean, events change, everything. Economically, it's always changing.
And can you talk about a little bit about those changes?
I don't know if I mean, it's like doing better as you go on. You know, more people know, but you're doing better. But then like there's always like I don't know anything about you. I can't talk about business. I don't know. I just like I said, I show up, and because I show up, I don't know if I don't. But I just keep showing up to this place and it's open. Like that's what I do. I don't know anything about business. I pay taxes. I do like I got to remind myself every 3 months to pay taxes. But I don't know anything about business. I mean, my life has changed. I work. I study a lot. I enjoy, I don't know if I can answer that question.
Mm-hmm. And so I remember you talking a little bit at the beginning how the pandemic was good for bookstores. So but beyond then, there's been some, not massive, but to a small degree, some rejuvenation for bookstores across the country as people get more interested in going to these places rather than just buying from Amazon. Can you just speak a little bit about that, why you think it is, that sort of thing?
I don't think that's true. Mm-hmm. There was a bookstore, Joybird Books, down in Orlando that opened up the same year as Wormhole, and they closed down. And I think the only reason I exist is because I literally exist on nothing. I'm a bum. Like I exist like the other day I found a Greek translation of the Corpus, or the Greek originals and the Latin originals of the Corpus Hermetica. I was like, that was exciting. That's what I do. Like I study ancient Greek. That's probably a tangent. So. Mm-hmm.
What of yourself do you see in the store, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, I mean it's there in Gainesville. I have a bookmark. I think it's from early 2000s, and there's like 19 different bookstores. So this was like pre-Amazon. Amazon's not coming around. And so every single bookstore, a community could support a bookstore, but the internet has, like this community, when it was smaller, supported 19 different bookstores. And each of those bookstores were a reflection of the individual to some degree. So I'm certain I'm a reflection of my bookstore. Like I know philosophy, science fiction, contemporary fiction, nonfiction. Like there's certain areas, like when I see stuff, I'm like super stoked and excited. And so that's what I pack it with. But yeah, I mean it's like I think things are a reflection of people, and oftentimes people don't even know their own reflection. So. Mm-hmm.
And what do you think you're most proudest of in your business? Is it your collection? Is it that communal life you try to bring back? Like what do you think you're most proud of there?
I really don't think I love working. Mm-hmm. And by work, I mean both book work, study work, work selling books. And so in that sense of doing, I get a sense of satisfaction. I don't know if I could say I have pride, but I do have, more than anything that is driving me, not even the satisfaction, is this sense of the frailty of life, and it's short, and I'm gonna be dead soon, and so I gotta do stuff.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite part about running the business, if you don't have something you're proud of?
Being in a position, I'm blessed to be in a position of dealing with what I love, and I love books, because each book is a world unto itself. Like it's a sense of wonder, which I feel like I don't know, many people still have it, like a lot of the people who do explore bookstores, I feel like have it. Like it's the sense of going into a bookstore not looking for a book, but then you find something and it's a whole new world. And like that's what I love. Like I can find one book and it'll change my life. You know, I read one thing that's I was trying to read one thing to understand Hegel. Hegel was talking about Plato, and I was like, I don't understand anything about philosophy. And so I went back and started studying Plato. And so it's just it's about knowing that you don't know, and then just keep knowing more that you don't know. The more that I don't know, the more, freaking wonder and like joy, because I'm like overwhelmed by like idiocy, because I'm like just this baby idiot, like overwhelmed with the world, and it's like, how am I even breathing? So.
And what is your favorite book, or your favorite book right now, if you don't have one overall?
Oh, favorite book. I mean, I'd have to say most important book would be Platonic Dialogues. Mm-hmm. Favorite living author, Samuel Delany. Amazing lyrical, beautiful author. Amazing, sort of forgotten in his time. And I don't know if I could say anything beyond that. Like I love lyricism. Fanny Howe as a poet, essayist. Ronald Furbank. P.G. Wodehouse for like the essence of writing a story that all collapses on itself, and it's hilarious. I try to be everywhere. I don't know, but definitely Plato is like what I think is the most important context for everything. And then Samuel Delany, amazing author, sci-fi author, but he transcends sci-fi by like he is like the great American author of our generation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what part of your collection have you seen change the most or grown the most since opening the store?
So the library has grown crazy amounts, like the private library that I'm collecting for. Mm-hmm. I've gotten really cool originals, original Greeks, and I got like a whole Loeb set. I've probably got like 200 and so Loeb edition books, which have the Greek on one side and the English translation on the other. I have early group of like, I got it from an old estate, of this guy who traveled around Tibet and Iran, early exploration texts of those two areas that are just crazy, like early archaeological texts of Mesopotamia and the Levant. I think are really special. I'm sure there's like some where you'd be like, oh, I can't believe you forgot that. But the personal library, I'm super stoked for one day when I don't know what guise or what form it'll take, but the private library that I'm collecting for, it has some great stuff.
Can you speak a little bit more about that private library?
That's what I was describing just recently. Okay. About the Loebs and. But yeah, it's tons of philosophy, tons of ancient history, tons of original texts, like Assyrian history studies, Assyriology, a bunch of the early Hittite stuff, but then just also contemporary religions, a bunch of the early like 18th century, like sort of where what would we call it? The New Age emerged out of, like the Theosophists and all that stuff. But then even medieval Marsilio Ficini. I'm spacing on his name or last name because I'm sleepy. And then even earlier, So ancient texts, ancient philosophical, ancient history. Herodotus is one of my favorite books of all times. Technically the first history, quote unquote, like intentional history. Someone writing. It's not really, but it's amazing. Like it's like I think around 600 BC maybe or so. But yeah, it's religions, poetries, writing, it's all the stuff that I think is super, super special to me.
And then apart from the books, can you speak a little bit more about like the music and the art store displays?
Sure. I'm a musician. I play music. I have friends who are musicians, so I've always been a part of like the do-it-yourself music scene where we've just like hosted house shows or basement shows or generator shows out on the levee in New Orleans or warehouse shows and so it's just a part of my life. Like I have to do that. Like I think I mentioned earlier, like for a good solid 10 years, I couldn't do anything other than I would wake up and play saxophone. Like I didn't know what to do. It was like it was really hard. It was like a situation in my life where all I could do was play sax, and then what little money or whatever I get at bars, or they just give you free drinks or so. So it's like it's good for your 20s, but it also destroyed my health, and it's been a good solid, I think, 6 or 7 years of being against drinking and encouraging people to take care of their body, or just encouraging myself to take care of my own body. And I love running and exercising, and restate the first question or the original question.
Like speaking more about the records the store sells or the art you guys display.
Okay, and so I mean the music I'm selling, I love listening to music. I sell stuff that's popular or just like modern music, but then also in that sense of propaganda. Even though I sell none of it, I sell tons of I keep in the store lots of music from other countries and then classical music, and so none of that really sells, but I have a really large section of it just because it's like that's what I do. Like it's like I'm trying to be this I guess subliminal propagandist of being like, it's okay, this is cool. Like I play classical music all day, I play sitar music all day, Ukrainian music, all like I love I love a lot of music. So
And about the art you guys display?
Local artists, whenever someone comes in, like there's been I don't really search for artists, and so maybe that's why it's mostly like wing nuts, and I'm like, cool. And so if someone comes in, I'll hang up their art. I think there was someone who drew like this weird picture of Batman one time, and I was like, heck yeah, because it was like that point, I don't know what it's called, where they did all the dots, like a newspaper to draw Batman, but it was like real ridiculous and. But not in a good way. But yeah, I was like, heck yeah. And so, I don't know, people come in, they ask, hang it up. I try to do direct money to people, so I ask that they set up like I don't want to be a bit middleman, so I asked that they get like one of those the payments like Venmo or something set up so they can just put their Venmo there. Someone comes in, they see it, pay them, take it, and so.
Yeah, and you talked about earlier how you get like a lot of people, just tourists coming in from Satchels. Sort of like, is that something you rely on? Is it like you're more so like just rather rely on word of mouth, or?
I think rely on is everything. Like I think it's great that that people do come in because at least I know for me, whenever I'm like traveling or going to a place, I like to get a book to read, and I know that there are other people like that because they come into the bookstore, and so oftentimes it's because they're eating at Satchels and then they're like, oh, let's go get a book, and so it's great. But then also repurposes across the street. I'm a used project, they're a used project. I'm not really into new books. The only new books I've really bought in like the past 10 years were, or even longer than that, was Against the Day and then The Bleeding Edge, both Thomas Pynchon books. I bought them like within the week they came out, but other than that, I've never bought any new books. And so I'm just not a new book person. I'm not opposed. I love books of all sorts. They're great, but it's just, yeah. And so,
And what is there sort of any sort of relationships in seeing how you get that business from people coming from Repurpose or Satchels or whatever? Do you have any like relationship with those guys, or like just any other store in the vicinity?
I mean, I don't have too many. I mean, other than like, you know, knowing people who work places and being friends with stuff, like I don't have any like I'm not on any advertisements on any receipts or anything. I think my flyer's hanging up on their message boards, but no, there's not too much of a interface between either, except for the people who work, like between myself, like between the businesses themselves and me, there's no interface, but between the employees and me, there is, and that's, yeah, that's true. Like there's the crystal shop, Blue Crystal, next to me, you know, I'm friends with all them. And so, yeah, I think I'm just friends with all the other workers.
Can you speak a little bit more about that?
I mean, they just hang out. Sometimes my place may be a place of refuge. You know, when you're working and you just got to step away for a few minutes. Yeah. But you know, it's it's just whatever.
And I know you talked a lot about, you know, not knowing if you're going to be able to, you know, keep going at the end of the month, but with the cost of the store and all. But is there any other sort of unique obstacles you found once you did make your collection to a store?
Yeah, I'm always making variations, always making changes, small changes, big changes. Some changes mess other stuff up. Like I used to show movies, but then I put some bookshelves right where people would sit, and so I haven't shown any movies ever since then, even though there's still a projector on the roof. Always learning, always forgetting what I learn. I feel like that's a constant.
Is there something besides like in the vein of like taking away where people would sit for the movie? Is there something you've like tried to add but it didn't sort of like go too well, or along those lines?
I mean, I've moved stuff around. I didn't like the flow of the room. The orientation of all the books now, it's been pretty much solid for 2 years, but for about 2 years I was moving everything like all the time. I was always playing Tetris. The store was always changing. Like I would build walls, build bookshelf walls, build compartments for storage, just move stuff around constantly. I used to do occasional, like, larger band shows, but people kept coming with alcohol, and I just don't really like being a place for alcohol. I stopped that, and I discourage alcohol at events. Yeah, I'm not an alcohol event place. I don't want to be that. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I got a fridge I got some, like, I sell like small things of tea and bubbly water, but pretty much it's just like what I drink, you know, known like occasional people. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I just do stuff, and then somehow I can still pay rent. And so, and it's like it is like this constant thing of like, let's evolve this, let's change this. There was a group of students that did a study with me that was really cool, and they made a bunch of suggestions, and I was like, yeah, those are all really cool suggestions, and I don't know if I've done any of them, because it's also, you know, I have limited energy. Like, I do feel this urge that's like, do stuff. And like, for writing, I have many writing projects, and I don't feel like I have enough time for them. Musical projects, I've been neglecting music for a few years. But then all my like language studies, like Greek, and then trying to like piece together, you know, old Phoenician and Assyrian languages, and so I'm overwhelmed in life, and so I don't really, like I said, I don't really know what I'm doing, anything about business or anything. I just do it. So.
Can you just talk a little bit more of that student study you had?
Yeah, it was like for some class or something. I met one of them. He came in, talked to me, and then they just like got together and they wrote some suggestions for it. And it was all sort of stuff I have. So I think about all these directions and everything, and a lot of that stuff was sort of related to like if the business is going to keep growing as a retail shop, which I'm not opposed to, and I think it has many good positive aspects. But I still, even though I have all these directions, none of them is clear to me, and I try to act with clarity. And so, but yeah, they did a study. They put out a questionnaire on campus, found out not too many people really knew about the bookstore, which I was like, oh, that's so cool that I know that, because it just reminds me, you know, of what a small world Northeast really is, you know, out there in that little corner, because Gainesville is so much more than that. Like, I really don't leave that quadrant. Like, I'm there, my apartment is nearby there, and then other than that, like, I neglect going out, and then I do a bunch of gardening down at my land in the Ocala area, Denellen area. And so I forget about, like, I am in a small corner of Gainesville, in a small world of Gainesville. I'm a small used bookstore, pretending to be a small used bookstore, trying to be a propagandist in a college town, as well as, you know, doing all these other things.
Which is interesting, because that you living in or staying in the northeast corner, you could say that a lot about students staying around this sort of campus area. So it's kind of like creating two different worlds in that sense. Yeah.
So many different worlds around. Like, you got the Northwest. They all live inside their own world. All these suburbs everywhere. Each suburb is every man in our society is like a king, or every person is like their own king, because they can get their own house in a suburb and be isolated. You know, they could even order Uber Eats and never leave their house. Like, we live in this era of opulence, like this certain level of opulence where just like everyone can be isolated, you know? And I feel like that's sort of, you know, what it is. And I just don't have, I do all I can, but it's yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that you wouldn't be exposed to the store expanding. Can you like speak a little bit more about your thoughts on that?
So my ideal, I don't know if I would want to go into the direction. So if I continue to be a business, I would love to be more into, I would love to do something that would be most bookstore and then maybe health, like mind and body. Like, so it would maybe have, it would be a bookstore that would have aspects of a gym, but really something I love is there's a sauna in Atlanta called Jeju. It's a Korean sauna, and it's like the Walmart of saunas. It's there's a crystal room, a charcoal room. Everyone, it's mostly Korean families that are there. So it's like, you know, old Korean grandpas watching Korean news on TV, and then everyone's wearing the same outfit, just laying around, like taking care of their health. You know, it's quiet. And so it's healthy. And I feel like I would love to expand into some aspect of that, like some aspect of gym, sauna, steam room, and then there's also a bookstore, you know. And so.
But you would only like, would you think about it in like the aspect of multiple stores, or would you just like to keep it to the one store?
It would be multiple areas, but it would be like a compound. That's why I want to get some property, like or find a warehouse that like is on an acre of land or something. Because I think that could be really cool in Gainesville, like especially, you know, if it was based off of Jeju or this sauna place
like
in Atlanta.
A bookstore spa hybrid.
Yeah, bookstore. So it's at this place, which I love about it, it's like my favorite place. You pay, it was like $30, and then you can stay there for 24 hours. So it's like this idea of a sauna as a hostel, sort of, or a sauna as this like place where you really go just to be quiet and heal. Like just all you're doing there is, you know, sweating, and then they offer healthy soups and tea. And so I think that if I could do something like that in my life, just, you know, do unto others as you would do unto yourself, I would love to do that to myself. And so I'd love to provide that to others as well.
All right, that sounds good. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention before we would wrap up?
I think I'm glad that you invited me here, and I'm grateful that you let me a place to just, I think I was really excited to share these histories, like the history, even though they're brief glimpses of like the bike shop Crank It Up that used to exist in Tallahassee, or just, you know, the history that I've been able to share of Wormhole itself. And thank you.
Of course.
So.